Kendra Hems, by the way.
That sounded like trucking in New York City just now.
I did that on purpose. Kendra Hems joins us. She is the president of the Trucking Association of New York. We are thrilled to welcome her during this Entida, as Dave and Elizabeth Barnett call it. Welcome to the show, Kendra, and happy National Truck Driver Appreciation Week.
Well, thank you so much. Pleasure being here with you. And yes, a big shout out to all of our professional drivers on the road today. I cannot express how much we appreciate the work they do for us.
Well, thank you so much, Kendra. And I know they know you mean that, too. You and I have been talking a lot about problems in New York City, specific to New York City itself. New York City, I think, is New York City the only city in America that has a Department of Transportation?
I don't know for sure.
Minneapolis does too. Minneapolis does too. I know that because Robin Hutchinson was the head of it. So that's
okay.
I know that, and I think it's only like 5 or 6 cities in America have their own departments of transportation. That's the absolute truth. Sorry, that's just random facts that I keep in my head, Kendra. Welcome to the show, by the way.
That's quite all right. You knew I didn't, so there we go.
Yeah, that is something you don't expect. So anyway, and I also want to tell everybody, too, that the web address for the Trucking Association of New York is nytrucks, nytrucks.org, nytrucks.org. So we have the congestion pricing. You have been in the crux of that since it was first conceived. We've gone through some ups and downs on that. There seems to be some success in terms of the amount of cars, at least, that aren't coming into town. You can't stop trucks from coming into town because folks in those cars got to get their stuff. So we have
New
all
York
that
wouldn't
going
function.
on.
New York, the city of New York wouldn't function.
Exactly.
That is, absolutely true. Absolutely true.
So now, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, we've never been fundamentally opposed to the theory or the policy behind congestion pricing and the need to address congestion in New York City. Where our challenge has been, and we're continuing to pursue our litigation, just as a quick update, as it relates to congestion pricing, is because of the way they're treating trucks. So cars, passenger vehicles, they get charged once per day, regardless of how many times they go in and out of the zone, whereas trucks, depending on their size, are being charged at a significantly higher amount than cars, and they get charged every single time they go into the zone. So that is the basis of our lawsuit. That is continuing. We're still pushing that forward. It hasn't been dismissed just yet, so we can certainly keep you apprised as that continues to play out.
Yeah, absolutely. So we move to another situation now, weight in motion. And there was an incredible article that you and I both saw about that, pretty well written and pretty in depth too. I mean, it just went into pretty much every nook and cranny about how much trucks weigh, who's getting away with bringing in overweight loads, dangerously overweight. I mean, there are what do you call that, Jim? When exemptions?
Yeah,
there are exemptions for everybody in every state and all of that stuff. So is this the big new frontier? I mean, once we kind of get the congestion pricing at least tamped down a little bit, now we get into this. But is this only going after bad actors? I mean, it's pretty confusing.
It's very confusing. So let's back up a little bit because there's some context here that I think is really important as it relates to our position with this technology. And to be clear, when we're talking about weigh in motion is used all over the country. Mm-hmm. What New York City is doing that's different and the first in the nation to do this is they are using automated enforcement. So they have cameras that take photos of the registration and the license plate of the trucks when they go over the scale, the weigh in motion scale. And if it's determined that that truck is overweight, they're automatically issued a citation. So that's what's different about the weigh in motion, the WIM program, if you will, in New York City. Where we have significant concerns is because of the way our oversized permits are administered in the state of New York. So we've got the New York State Department of Transportation that issues oversized permits or overweight permits. We have the New York City Department of Transportation that also issues overweight permits. They don't match. So what New York City issues in terms of axle counts and max weight and load distribution is not the same as what the New York State Department of Transportation issues. And we could get into the details, but I don't think it's necessary. I think the underlying issue there is that they're not the same. So we have two different permit programs. The other big issue as it relates to permits in New York City is back in the 1980s, the New York City Department of Transportation decided to stop issuing divisible load permits, overweight permits. But when they stopped that program, they allowed those that had permits to keep them. So those companies that had permits at the time they stopped it, they were allowed to keep those permits. They can transfer permits from a truck they're turning in to a new truck, but they can't get additional permits. So now what we end up with is you have fleets in New York City that can legally operate at significantly higher weights under an overweight permit. And then you have fleets in the city that are trying to compete with them that do not have access to those permits. So while we would never condone operating overweight without permits and being legal and following all the rules and regulations, the city has kind of created this incentive to be in non-compliance, if you will, because these companies can't compete otherwise. So we've got two different permitting systems, and then we've got a system that's created the have versus the have-nots, and now we're implementing automated enforcement with weigh in motion. So, so kind of a long-winded way to say we have a lot of concerns with this, and there's some really significant challenges that need to be addressed before any kind of enforcement program of this nature should be put in place.
It's funny, Kendra, because it is such like I said, each individual state has its own unique set of issues and problems. And this sounds inherently like such a New York thing. I think about the medallions on cabs. I think about rent control. This feels so uniquely New York, which is why each of the states has to have their own organization to deal with these kind of problems. And my question is for you: what kind of traction are you guys getting when you kind of explain this the way you just explained it, saying, look, we're just looking to make sure that everybody who wants to participate in this economy has a level playing field, that we're not, people already have institutional knowledge advantages. This really creates institutional advantages of economic power, right?
Yeah. And, it's such a complex issue that sometimes it's really hard to explain it in a way where people can understand it, because anyone that's familiar with overweight divisible load permits, when you start getting into the axle counts and the gross weight and how that's distributed and the spacing between the axles, like they glaze over. So it's been a difficult issue for us. We've really been trying to focus on the equity component of it, the fact that we've got two different systems. You have a system that allows some to have and others not. And so what I would say is it's about 50-50. I think that we have spoken with some, both at the state level and the city level, that totally understand the concern and the issue. But then we have some that don't. And unfortunately, some of the ones that don't are the ones that were responsible for expanding the use of this technology. So it was included in the state budget last year. We thought we had it beat. We had it stripped out of the budget. We figured we were good. We had, allowed to provide more time to start addressing some of these other underlying issues. And then right before they drafted all the bills to vote on, they put it back in the budget. And by that point, we didn't have time to react. And this is a whole other issue in the state of New York, is the process in which they pass our state budget. It's a lot of last minute, nobody reads the bills before they vote on them. There's a whole host of issues with the process they go through. And unfortunately, sometimes you lose on issues because of that, and this was one of them. We thought we had it beat, and then all of a sudden last minute it was back in there, and we found out it was the individual that, New York City Department of Transportation was really pushing it, and then one of the individuals that was a strong advocate is a close ally in the governor's office. So she was able to get it pushed back in, and here we are. So we're continuing to try and get some amendments to the legislation, but we're also trying to address the permit issue as a whole. So talking with City DOT, can we reopen the divisible load permit program? Is there a way to standardize the permit between New York State and New York City? So those are the issues that we're really focusing on now.
Wow. Well, we've been beaten by something else too, unfortunately, the clock. We couldn't beat the clock. But we're going to be continuing this conversation and probably many more too as the weeks and months come up. So, Kendra, thank you so much for taking time out this morning. Once again, happy National Truck Driver Appreciation Week to you and all of the members there at TANY, the Trucking Association of New York.
All right. Thank you so much.
Kendra Hems, everybody. And the website is nytrucks.org.